The DC Extended Universe is dear to its fans, even if WB decided to reboot and bury it entirely. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. James Gunn's version of the franchise is set to be a lot brighter than what Zack Snyder attempted, and Ben Affleck might have sussed this issue out as well. Zack Snyder's version of the DC Universe was definitely not aimed at kids, with the IP employing a grittier look that resonated with a section of the audience. However, Ben Affleck, who essayed the role of Batman, was very familiar with the fact that Snyder's interpretation of the DC Universe might be in for a problem. Zack Snyder's DCEU's troubles were already on Ben Affleck's radar thanks to his son's reaction to the Snyderverse. But what happened was it started to skew too old for a big part of the audience. Like, even my own son at the time was too scared to watch the movie. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, we have a problem. Ben Affleck, in an interview with GQ, revealed that his son was not very keen on seeing Snyder's version of the DCU, and that particular reaction was the reason that Affleck thought the DCU might be in for a tough time in theaters. He revealed, James Gunn is currently focused on giving Superman his time to shine in the DCU. The next feature-length film that the DCU is going to focus on is also going to be Superman-related, with Supergirl taking center stage. While the Batman Part 2 seems to be in active development, Brave and the Bold is still something fans are waiting to hear about. The film is set to star Damian Wayne as Batman's Robin, which means that a lot of Batman storylines have already happened in the DCU. Fans are expecting other big heroes to make appearances in films like Superman and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Batman and Wonder Woman, who are major parts of DC's flagship trinity, are yet to be cast in the DCU. Fans are awaiting the assembly of the Justice League as well, especially because James Gunn's iteration of the DCU comes at a time when the MCU seems to be severely lacking, with fans increasingly looking for alternative superhero shows and films to enjoy. Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League focused a lot more on building out the characters in a dark, gritty, realistic setting. This really showed what the director learned from a movie like Watchmen. On the other hand, James Gunn seems to have created a universe with a distinct identity from the DCU, without it being too similar to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which it is inevitably going to be compared with. When Justice League was being made, DC sent 2 executives to babysit the decisions that Zack Snyder made for the film. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. There were many things that hardcore fans of the comics did not like about his films. It would seem that DC Studios caught on quite quickly and took some very serious steps to ensure that his vision aligned with theirs. While some might call the measures they took extreme, Snyder did not seem to mind them in the slightest. Zack Snyder has become somewhat of a legend in the world of DC. While the franchise has been moving to a new phase, leaving him behind, the impact that his films had on the reputation of the franchise is something to be studied. While this is true, many seem to forget the kind of criticism that he received when he was in his prime and not a glorified figure of the past. When Justice League was being made, DC sent 2 executives to babysit the decisions that Zack Snyder made for the film. He turned certain characters that were supposed to be bright, like Superman, and turned them grayscale. He also broke quite a lot of fundamental rules for certain characters, with Batman and his refusal to kill being the perfect example of the same. With this in mind, it would seem that the franchise was not taking any chances in his Justice League film. One of the biggest criticisms that Zack Snyder got during his term with DC Studios was the fact that his films were too dark, be it in the general themes of the franchise or simply the visual aspects. The criticism became so widely known that instead of just his films getting such a reputation, the entire DCU was perceived the same way. Although he did not like his position in the slightest, he made sure to be rational about the requests he was making of Snyder. During an interview with Vanity Fair, it was revealed that the franchise had given DC Entertainment creative chief Jeff Johns and Warner Bros. Co-production head John Berg the responsibility of overseeing the director's filmmaking process. It would seem that at least one of them was required to be on set at all times to ensure that everything was in check, as revealed by Berg. It was really tricky and not a position that I loved, to be honest. I tried to be forthright about what I thought creatively. My job was to try to mediate between a creator whose vision is instinctually dark and a studio that perceived, rightly or wrong, that the fans wanted something lighter. I was respectful of the director and didn't pursue things that were coming at me from the corporate side that I thought weren't in line with what would make the best movie. He started by calling Jeff Johns and John Berg's jobs babysitting rather than overseeing, perfectly encapsulating the purpose he believed the studio to have with their presence on set. However, he then added that he did not mind their insight, simply because they did not approach him in a hostile manner. It is safe to assume that if any other director was put in such a position, they would have walked off the project the moment they found out. Having people oversee someone's creative process for the sake of bureaucracy is certainly an insult in the eyes of many. However, it would seem that Zack Snyder wasn't one of them. When asked about the same, the director claimed he knew what they were on set for. He added, "You could say babysit." Rather than taking over the project and demanding that everything be done according to the studio, they only intervened when they felt it to be necessary. While they did interject here and there once weren't something too extreme in the eyes of Cinder, which made their presence acceptable to him. Justice League is available for streaming on Max. It didn't bother me too much because they weren't that threatening. I just felt the ideas they did have, where they were trying to inject humor and stuff like that, it wasn't anything that was too outrageous. Following the release of Matt Reeves' box office hit, The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson in 2022, it was revealed that the highly appreciated movie will be part of a trilogy like that of Christian Bale's Caped Crusader. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Right after the box office success of the movie, Warner Brothers had greenlit the project for a trilogy. Perhaps it's time to take out your tissues over your black capes, because Gotham might be losing another Batman. Yep, it's looking real gloomy, because we've already been facing the dreadful delay situation with Robert Pattinson's The Batman 2. And now, reports suggest that his broody eyes and emo eyeliner might be facing the axe. And who warned us about this ages ago? Zack Snyder fans, of course. They've been waving red flags louder than a bat signal. Now, James Gunn is reportedly scouting for his own version of the Dark Knight for the rebooted DC universe, and things aren't looking good for Robert Pattinson's Batman. Robert Pattinson's The Batman 2 might be cancelled as James Gunn is reportedly searching for a new Dark Knight. Gotham feels doomed. And now, as fans' hopes of seeing Robert Pattinson don the black suit began slipping into the Gotham shadows, the rumors became more real than ever. Canadian film critic John Campea took to his podcast to share fresh reports of how the Batman sequel might not even see the light of day since it has been secretly cancelled. "I think it's more likely that the Batman 2 gets cancelled. What started as a delay has now turned into something scarier, a full-on cancellation. With a new boss in town, James Gunn steering the ship, it seems that Robert Pattinson's noir-flavored Gotham might not fit into the shiny, rebooted DC Universe plans. And so, no matter how tough it might get to swallow, it seems that Pattinson has hit a dead end with his Batman. Initially, being in development for almost 3 years, it was revealed by Warner Brothers that Part 2 will be released in 2026. But later on, with Matt Reeves' script being incomplete, the release date got pushed back by a full year to 2027. That's when fans' impatience turned into fear, giving birth to cancellation rumors. Although Campea didn't mention any names, there appeared rumors of the Reacher star